Next, we have Kati Lebioda. She's a Ph.D. in higher education. Kati's talk, titled Doing With in Participatory Research, is about her experience doing a participatory action research project with 18 other racially and ethnically minoritized students. She advocates for how, even though doing with can be tricky in unexpected ways, the infinite possibilities in our relationships also can lead us to something really special in the end. Some interesting facts about Kati are that she has several pen pals, one of which has lasted for 17 years and counting. And also, people say she has a green thumb, but her secret is she forgets to water her plants. Please welcome Kati.
Thank you, Chloe. I study higher education, which is, I'm in college and I study college. But what does that mean to study higher education? For me, I use a method called participatory action research to look at how institutional diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives do or do not impact the experiences of students of color. If you're unfamiliar, participatory research aims to bring the folks that other researchers might call subjects or participants into the research process. So the research moves beyond doing on or for to really working with these communities. The semantic difference between these prepositions is kind of at the heart of my talk tonight, so let's spend a beat here. On. I can put flowers on a table. I can do research on the experiences of students of color. The primary agent, in this case me, performs an action on an object. For. I can buy flowers for my friend. I can do research for students of color. For example, to improve campus climates at predominantly white institutions. The primary agent is still me, but now things seem more positive. I'm doing something nice for my friend, or I'm researching to do good on behalf of communities I care about. The people I'm doing for are on my mind, but it's a lot of me making assumptions about what they want. With. I can buy flowers with my friend. I can do research with students of color. Now there are multiple agents doing the action, me and my friend buying flowers, me and the students I work with doing research. Because we're doing things together, they have a say in what happens. It's not just me making assumptions anymore. In doing with, me becomes we. On, for, with. Is everyone with me? Yes. Perfect. Tonight I want to share with you a story about centering relationships in research. It can actually be a bit more tricky than it sounds, but doing with can also be really beautiful. All right, so real talk. I was a bit lucky when it came to my dissertation. I studied colleges and student experiences. The University of Michigan just so happened to be preparing for a strategic plan around diversity, equity, and inclusion. Part of this plan was talking to students, faculty, and staff. I went to one of these student town halls and I said, how can I get involved in the DEI plan? The answer I was given was, you are already involved as a leader of your student organization. So at that time, I was a PhD student, a mom of 2 toddlers, during a global pandemic. So I was doing a lot of things, but you might notice leading a student organization wasn't one of them. The event was scripted, so there wasn't a lot of back and forth for me to be like, and if I'm not? And so, although it wasn't intentional, the message I received was, unless you are a student leader, there is no room in this process for you. It was clear to me that the DEI plan was going to be missing some voices. What if I got together with other students of color and we made digital stories about our experiences with DEI on campus? Maybe, if heard by the right people, these stories could impact the DEI plan. And off I went. The thing you have to remember is that graduate students are preparing to be experts. We think a lot about everything. We design these protocols for the institutional review board. We think about sample parameters and recruitment strategies. We decide who is and is not included, but also how many. Like, should I cap different groups of people so I don't have too many of one type? Like it's Pokemon or something. Basically, researchers make a lot of plans. But when we try to control all these factors and variables, our relationships become extractive, transactional. Yes, we hope our research leads to scientific advancement or reduces inequality for society. But what about the people in our studies? How do we get to width? What I discovered very quickly is that it can be really hard to break out of these roles, like I'm the researcher and you're the participant. It was easy to find students who had thoughts about DEI. But what I noticed was the students I was working with kept saying things like, "Is this okay?" Or, "This is a bit off topic, but," or, "Well, to help Katie with her thesis, I'll probably tell this story." In the beginning, it was easy for me to be with. "Don't worry about me," I said. "I'll find something to write about. What story do you want to tell?" Halfway through our 9 sessions, it became clear that the students I was working with did not want to engage with the DEI plan. They were tired of trauma dumping. Collectively, they had countless examples of times where they needed to share deficit-based narratives in order to get their needs met, whether that was funding or space or exceptions to a policy. They did not trust that the institution could or would change. I could have tried to double down on my original vision of using digital stories as a counter-narrative to the DEI plan. But instead, I went all in on being with these people. I told them, "You decide what happens in this process, and what, if anything, happens to your stories afterwards. I'm down for the ride." And off we went. I pivoted my dissertation. My dissertation is now about doing participatory research. Yes, that's right. I am in college, studying college, and I research doing research. But I have to admit to you, even after I reframed my project so that all I had to do was be with these people, it was hard. I had so much anxiety about the list of questions that I wanted to ask, but I wouldn't have time for. I could feel that on and that for creeping in. Whereas before I was reassuring my students, now I was reminding myself, don't worry, you'll find something to write about. We matters more than me. And let me tell you, it was definitely worth it. But now the trick is, how do I capture our experience together? How do I capture our experience together and do enough justice so that all of you know that more work like this is needed? I could tell you about Wendy's family made of coworkers who sneak her chocolate without a word, or about why Amani gets queasy before speaking up in class, or about how Kira's Aji tells her stories as they lay beneath lavender-scented sheets that help Kira feel connected to her ancestral homeland. Seeing you in all that that is heals me too. My students and I decided, instead of putting our stories in front of top administrators like I had wanted, that we would create more spaces for students to share their stories. I had wanted the right people to hear the stories of students of color. And looking back, I think they did. In these last few moments tonight, I want to thank the students I worked with for trusting me and walking this journey with me. I couldn't have done this without you. And to everyone else with me here tonight, my wish for you is that you can find some way to be with people when you leave this room. There are infinite possibilities in our relationships, and you never know what will happen if you go along for the ride. Thank you.